Thank you for listening to the Field Report for July 27th, 2017. I believe at the rate things have been, and this applies to all of us, and I hope that anyone has any concerns about that, you can go ahead and mention it in the comment section below, but across the board, when you look at what occurred at the VA, which we made phone calls there, and the bureaucratic red tape alone, and this would be my chief complaint about bureaucracy. They have to remove the bureaucracy out of the picture for work to get done correctly, efficiently, and within a time period that is allowed. This would take all the pressure off representatives. This would take a lot of pressure off all these people that work at lower levels of the government. We're talking from the person that is on the other line listening to the complaints. And I personally have apologized because there are real legitimate complaints too. And I would look at it this way: if you have a complaint, write it out, contact your state attorney general's office, and file grievance. That's how I would do it. Otherwise, it's back to business. It's back to work, and right out of the gate, this is a no-brainer for anyone. You're going into training. You're in training mode. You're not thinking about all these other things. You want to be able to shut part of that out. And you have to block a lot of this stuff out, because when you're focused, and your focus is not on all these other concerns, you would hope that the people around you would recognize that, and and I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure of that. Absolutely. It bothers me about everything that has gone on over the course, especially the last 10 years, but over the course of the last 30 years, since some of us were in basic training, is that when you do paperwork and you have to meet the requirements to graduate, even high school. I was just at my high school yesterday, and I had to get the paperwork I needed in order to resume my training. Anyway, I have to meet a lot of the requirements. It's a lot of back and forth, making trips to places I needed to be at, and there was all types of things obstructing our ability to serve, our ability to work. And if you know anything about taking commands, you're not going to be talking back to anybody. And let me give an example. If you're so upset about something and it can't be addressed properly or appropriately within an appropriate amount of time, that explains what occurred. We're talking at the VA, but it can happen to a family. A family member is concerned that their family member doesn't have the right equipment. These are the things that were going on the last 10 years. That they didn't even have the basic uniform, like armory. I mean, I remember it was about 5-6 years ago. There were people raising money just so that people could get the equipment. I had emails and messages from guys that were serving that were asking us to raise money for them to wear the uniform. Armory. And to only to imagine where they were training at was even worse. And they knew that. We knew that. They were sent on orders that no one ever signed up for this stuff. Let me tell you what we signed up for when we signed up to be in the military. Well, we signed up to take a little bit of a beating. That's one thing. But the emotional beating that and what we've encountered, I personally have encountered, is that I met and talked to a man who was traumatized. He was raped in his barracks. And he suicided himself. Absolutely outrageous that anyone would ever have to go into a barracks and be afraid for their own safety. Their personal safety is an absolutely high priority. Personal safety in the barracks, and that wouldn't be addressed. Absolutely. A man is being raped in the barracks. That is outrageous. Outrageous. So when people complain about the social justice issues, you better look at the other side of the issue. because that is what has gone on. And I am outraged that anyone has ever had to encounter that kind of danger, whether it be in uniform or outside of uniform, on a barracks especially. The one place that you have to be safe is that you go through so many things just to get into that gate, just to get in, just to have the badge, just to have a patch. And we're squabbling and we're falling all over ourselves about things that really have nothing to do with the military standard. And that was the issue. They can keep their issues outside in the public arena. That is their business. And representatives that want to go ahead and rally these people and get them more upset, you're really in the wrong. You're really in the wrong, and you know it. Because if there was one thing that we require of anybody, and that requirement has never ever been an issue up until the point of the previous administration. But when you have to fill out paperwork to be even a representative, even to qualify to be a president, and you can't even come up with legal documents, that's outrageous. That's a standard operation. It's outrageous, and everyone who ever was angry about this issue, from the VA to what goes on in the battlefield, to what goes on in the barracks, to what's going on at the highest level of president, you have to meet those standards, basic standards, and go above and beyond. And I honestly don't know anyone that would go out of their private lives, make all these personal sacrifices just to take or endure the nonsense that some, in which our leader, our president, United States, has endured. No one should ever go through what our president has gone through. The absolute insidious arguments that it's grossly negligent. It's grossly negligent, and we have high expectations of our representatives. We have high expectations of our senators. We don't expect them much. I mean, most people I know recognize they're sacrificing their personal private lives to be in the public arena. But if they're going to go public and they're going to do this and they're going to rally people and get people upset, really, I want to know, what are they there? Are they there for social justice causes? Then go take your social justice causes out to the public arena. That's where it belongs. That's why you have to file permits in order to do all that. But outside of that, leave it there. But when you're in, there is a code of justice. There's a uniform standard. It's required of those people that go to basic training, and it's required of anybody that goes to the highest top of the military. There is a code of justice, and otherwise you would be disqualified. You couldn't make rank. Okay, you go through a chain of command. You have to take orders. You have to do this, all these things. And people who are angry for the right reasons, because they have they're trying to just do their job. Okay, job is one thing, career is another. And especially when you're thinking of your military, or you're thinking of being a law enforcement, work at that capacity, it's a career. Okay, you want to know that you have everything you need, and reassure your family, reassure those around you that the job you're doing, it's not just a job, but it's a career. Okay, because a lot of people made a career out of making social justice causes and benefiting financially from it. Most people that serve the military have made less than $10,000, and I would include the veterans on Social Security, which is almost, I mean, a lot of people can't even barely meet the basic standards just to keep a house. So why do you think there's a homeless issue? Because of the low standards that have been implemented over a period of time, and that includes what goes on our base. That includes what goes on in social media. I mean, you want the highest level of respect for others. I would want that. I would want that standard, and not only in my job, but I would want that in my social circles. I don't want to lower my standards. I don't want to continue to have to watch kids' standards in education be lowered, teachers' standards be lowered. We can laugh off a lot of issues, but when it comes to the standard, the absolute basic necessities, we can't even get that from our military veterans. That it's all backward, and has been for a long time. And that includes what happens at the level of going into the next school year. You want your teachers to be reassured that safety issue is a non-issue after this. Because if they don't implement these important standards in education and requirements for teachers, I wouldn't want to go to a job like that. I wouldn't want to be a student going to a school like that. I wouldn't have to fear for my safety every day because somebody disagrees with me. I'm sorry that it's a public matter, but that's where it belongs. But outside of that, you don't want to bring it into your school. You don't want to bring your problems home. Most people know this. When people bring their problems home, okay, and as a result of bad policy, that's one thing. But the whole safety issue altogether matters to that person that's going to school or serving in the military or going to their job today. And that matters to all of us.